buddy. There we go. Early morning topwater. Buzzbait. Don't leave home without it in the fall. We are going to talk about 3 topwater baits that you need to have in your tackle box, especially for the fall. Welcome back to the Googan Lab. Let's get into it. So one of the top 3 baits that I carry with me in the fall when I'm bass fishing is a buzzbait. Buzzbait is excellent at fishing through some cover. You know, if you've got a little bit of brush, things like that, it'll come over grass. You know, it's just like a spinnerbait basically, but you take the blades off and you put this this buzz blade over it. And this is the Googan Squad Hummer. It's got some holes drilled into the blade just to give it a little bubble trail. And the reason a buzzbait is so good is it's just a different sounding bait. If you think about all the different sounds of topwaters with blooping sounds and knocking sounds, walking sounds, a buzzbait is really different. It's got a squeak to it, it's got a gurgle, it's just a really unique sound, and oftentimes it just makes bass angry. They don't like that sound. You make multiple casts in an area and really just piss the fish off and get them mad enough to eat it. So I like our buzzbait a lot. This is a 1/2 ounce right here. It's got a double plastic keeper so you can put a trailer on there. And I love to throw black in the early morning. It's just a dark color to kind of silhouette against that sky. So I throw my buzzbaits on 15-pound monofilament because that is a line that floats. So that's going to allow me to keep that bait on top of the water easily. If you use fluorocarbon, it's going to pull your bait down. And I'm using our Googan Squad reaction rod, which is a 7.2 medium power fast action. And this allows me to load the bait up, cast it well, get good distance on it, and then also keep the fish hooked up. I love this rod for a lot of different things, but for buzz baits and spinner baits, crankbaits, it's just perfect. Another tip with your buzz baits, when you throw them out there at first, you want to keep your rod tip high, especially on a long cast, because the more line you take off your reel, the slower your gear ratio is going to be. So it's like having a smaller tire on a car. You're going to have to reel a little bit faster to keep that bait up. But one of the ways that you can mitigate that is keep your rod tip high when you first start. Start your retrieve, and as you get about midway, you can start to lower your rod tip, and then eventually just kind of follow that down. I always like to keep my rod tip, you know, kind of midway or down. That way if a fish gets it, I can go up into a hook set. But that first part, if you just keep your rod tip up, it's going to keep your bait up on top of the water and prevent it from diving down and becoming a spinnerbait. So number 2, and this is probably my number 1 choice, but just second in order here, is a walking style bait. And this is the Googan Squad Hound. This is a walking, slightly spitting style bait, and you have to walk the dog with this, and that's an action that you can see some of our other videos to see how to do it. But there's something about this action, that sound, that back and forth that really gets fish going in the fall. In the spring, I like more of a popper style bait. In the fall, I really like a walking bait like this, and it's great over shallow water. It's fantastic over deep water. It'll bring fish up. So I love to throw it on points, like main lake points, around creek channel areas, places that you're seeing a lot of shad, anywhere you're seeing a bust, like random fish busting. This is one of those baits that I'll keep on the deck just ready to throw in case I see a fish pop up and I'm just need to fire out a cast and catch one and bring him up. And I love to throw this on braid so I can really snap it back and forth. Sometimes I'll use a leader, but if you're going to throw mono, go with 12 to 15 will get you good action. And again, I'm throwing this on a reaction series rod. It's a little long for working the bait down. I'll either go with the twitch or reaction, but I like the reaction more with this bait because I can launch it. A lot of times in the fall I'm lining up on a point and making a long cast I want to work it over shallow all the way out to the deep, and that reaction rod allows me to fling that bait out there and make a really good cast. Now, my third and probably everyone's favorite is a frog. And when you're gonna throw a frog, you gotta have some big gear to back it up. Frogs just, in general, get big bites, and where you pull fish out of with a frog can be pretty tough if you're using lighter gear. So I like to go with something a little longer. I'm throwing our Muscle, which is a 7.5. Oh gosh, he just got off. Got it. Oh! It's a 7.5, and it's a heavy, which means it has got a lot of beef on it, not a lot of bend, backbone to get these fish out of these spots. And you got to throw braid. You know, I like to throw 50 to 65. 50 if I'm just kind of in lighter cover, lighter grass. I like 50 because it'll cut through the grass a little easier. 65 if it's just gnarly. You can't cast 65 is good, but you can just tug on them as hard as you want and get them out of there. So, the hooks on a frog are designed to be really torqued on and pull them up good, and they're covered. They're shielded in there, so when a bass bites that thing, those are going to pop out like little snake teeth and spear them. So there's two ways to work a frog. You can bob it or you can walk it. If I'm in a really key area, looks good, I'll oftentimes just slow down. I'll let the frog sit there, and then I'll twitch it side to side. You want to leave some slack in your line when you do that to allow that bait to snap back and forth, similar to the walking style bait. And then if I'm just in an area where, it's like looks okay, might be a fish in there, I want to work it fast, then I'll just twitch it. I'll just bob that bait. And they'll hit it on that bob sometimes, but really where you get most of your frog bites is when you pause it. You get it around something really good looking, really good piece of cover that a bass is going to sit on, or a hole in the grass, or just in a gap in the lily pads, and just let it sit there. Just can't stand it. Don't leave home without those 3 topwater baits in the fall. Buckle up and catch a big one, y'all. If you want to stay tuned for more tips here, subscribe to the Googan Lab. I'll see you next time.